Hello everyone, long time no see, I know. Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com. In case you've never met, I haven't been on here in quite some time, so thank you so much for joining me. I thought it would be a really fun time to share with you because we do have an upcoming celebration starting January 4th, 2022, and it runs through February 28th. There's some freebies that you can get in here, along with the fact that we do have a brand new catalog starting also on January 4th. If you haven't gotten yours in the mail, it should be arriving shortly. If you are a local demo, I typically do a local customer, I typically do drop them off personally. So if you haven't gotten one yet, I probably just haven't gotten around to your street, but hang tight. If you don't have a demonstrator, I'd love to send you a complimentary catalog. They are really full of ideas. I can't show you the inside yet because I'm filming this prior to the catalog being live, but anyway, there are some really great ideas in here, some cool stamp sets. And during celebration, with every $50 or $100 or subsequently $50 from there, so $150, $200, etc., you do get to choose something free. There's some really, you can see some great ideas here. There is a beautiful marble paper. I'm actually going to share a couple things with you. There is a really pretty daisy paper, another like throwback kind of paper. There's a beautiful little rainbow set. There's a lot of really fun stuff in here. Also, 2 stamp sets, which I am going to show you today. So this card, I kind of started it and I thought, well, I'll make it with you and then we'll make a second version together. So I am pulling out some different things, and some of these things are things that you might have. So this is the hand pen designer series paper that is in the current annual catalog. So this is just a piece of that. And I believe I cut this at 3.5 by 5. Then I just cut a little scrap piece of white cardstock. So I typically use the thick basic white because I like it better. It does help to blend a little bit easier. And when you stamp, I did this with the blends, you do want to stamp with an ink that is intended for the blends. So I do personally like VersaFine. This is not an ink that Stampin' Up! Carries, but it is another ink made by Cinco, which also coincidentally makes our Memento black ink. So you can use this with your blends. You cannot, however, use StazOn because StazOn is an alcohol-based ink and Stampin' blends are alcohol-based, so they will kind of make a mess. So I like VersaFine because it gives a nicer black detail. I'm hoping that we do come out with something in the future. So I'm going to be using Driving By today. I have a couple card ideas. I've got a lot of ideas with these. I sat down and made some really cute card sketches. So today we're going to make this card, but then for the second one, we're going to change it up a little bit so you'll understand. So I went ahead and stamped this. So for this version, what I did is I stamped it in black ink. As you can tell, I didn't wait for it to dry fully, so I have a little smudged line. But I also did this one in the Magenta Madness blends, and I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite. So for the second one, which I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to use Melon Mambo blends. So those are here. And then I actually used the Dark Pool Party and Light Bermuda Bay for the balloons. I used Light Pool Party for the inside of the wheels and the glass portions and also the bumpers. And then I believe this is dark gray granite for the tires. And then I just added a little bit of shading. So I kind of thought this would be a fun happy birthday card. I stamped the happy birthday. This is another little bonus celebration stamp set. So this actually, and all of the photopolymer stamps you will see now will have these little pieces. So you can actually get rid of these pieces if you'd like. You can even use this for a window for a shaker card if you wanted to make one. But this is another freebie that you can get. So what I did is, actually I'm fibbing to you. I used this for something different. Let me show you one other thing. Skirt, and let me step back a step here. This is a different one. This is a cling stamp set. This is new, called Bragworthy. And what I did is I masked off all the words minus the happy birthday. So that's what this happy birthday is. Sorry about that. This is a really fun set as well. So what I have are, I'm going to put this together, and then I did one other little technique. So I kind of thought it needed something for this, but I really wasn't sure what. I kind of wanted to go with washi, but we don't really have a lot of washi. So what I did was I took a piece of, just a scrap piece of Bermuda Bay, and I'll show you exactly what I did because we can always do it for the second piece. But I kind of worked it back and forth with my bone folder, and then I peeled it apart. And then I'm actually going to use the inside pieces because they kind of look like suede. So we're going to just put this together. This is a pretty simple card, and then we'll make another version as well. So this is a piece of Melon Mambo 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. I'm sorry, 5.5 by 8.5, square and a half at 4 1/4. And look, I'm looking for my bone folder. It's been so long since I've been in here. It's right in front of me. So you can see this is the other side of the paper. So I'm going to just go ahead and see if my liquid glue wants to work. Nope. Okay. Because it's been a little bit since I crafted. So I'm going to open up this other one that I've used. Don't mind, I have some contraband out, but you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I'm just going to put this. I just thought that the lighter purple would kind of be a nice contrasting color. All right. So then I have my piece here, and I believe, again, I think this is 3 3/4. Yes, 3 3/4 by 2.5. Okay. So this is just a half of a second inner liner piece of paper. So I went ahead and I put this on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of this above and a piece of it below. So I'm going to flip this over, and I have some adhesive somewhere. Oh my goodness, I don't know where it is. So here it is. I have my Stampin' Seal Plus. Personally, I'm not a fan of the Stampin' Seal, but I do like the Plus version. I'm just going to put a little layer of this on the top. Push too hard. And where is it? Here we go. A little layer on the bottom. And then I'm going to grab, yikes, under here, my silicone craft sheet, because this kind of makes it a little bit easier. And I'm just slightly lining this up. Doesn't really have to be perfect. There's one, and then I'm going to do the same here. Again, I don't really need a huge portion, but it just kind of gives it something. If you don't like it, you can always tear a little bit of the edge there as well, but I kind of feel like it gave a little bit of something. You'll also note that I put a little teeny bit of shading underneath of the car just to ground it, because otherwise it kind of just looks like a car that's just flying there, and it doesn't really give it as exciting of a feel. Now, since I did put the backing to that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab, and I feel like I really need to make a decision of if I'm going to do something with those or not, because I keep moving them from place to place to place, and I haven't used them. My little trees, you could use them for something else non-Christmassy, but I am waiting for my dimensionals to come in. So I normally would tell you to use white dimensionals when you're using white cardstock, but I don't have any. So I'm going to go ahead with the black. And I'm just going to snip a couple pieces here, because they can show through just a little bit, and you don't really want them to show if you can help it. And I just want to put just a couple other little pieces here, and one more on the side. So I'm just going to pop that on, and then the only other thing I'm going to add is my happy birthday. So with this card, again, I did this one mostly ahead of time, and I was going to assemble it, but I thought, well, it's give you one more card to see assembled, and also you can see about the little suede pieces. All right, and these are fairly simple. So we're going to just put this on straight, just like that. Now, I did put a little bit of Wink of Stella in the balloons, so I thought that was kind of fun. And then what I think I'm going to do is glue, and I'm going to put just a teeny bit of a dimensional here. See if I can get this to fit. Should have cut the other way. Yep, hold on one sec. This is just a little bit, that one end is a little bit too wide. All right, so I'm hoping you all had a wonderful holiday. We had a fabulous holiday. As I'm saying this, everyone was healthy. We all had a really good time. Got to see some family and some friends. All right, so then what I did is I put a little bit of glue under this one. So I'm just going to give that a press just for it to seal. And I popped this up. What I did is I basically just trimmed this with my scissors, and this is a teeniest bit off. I'm going to see if I can. Just trimmed it with my scissors and trimmed it in. I didn't do anything really super fancy for that one. So that's kind of a regular happy birthday card. But then I thought another thing you could do if you had someone that you maybe wanted to send a Valentine to. Now, as you all know, I'm not a big purchaser of the Valentine stamp set, but I did find something that I could use for Valentine's Day. So I kind of did a combo. So I love the nuts and bolts stamp set. So I did stamp some hearts. I already did this ahead of time. I stamped some hearts and I colored them in with the blends. I also have a cute card with this I'll have to share with you another time. And then I pulled out the Many Happenings stamp set, which has this love and hugs. There's also a heart here as well. So what I did is, this one is one where you can stamp the whole thing, and then this die matches everything. You can stamp it all, die cut it all at the same time. However, if you're not quite sure maybe what you want to do with this, another thing I did was I just inked this little area up with red ink and stamped it on a piece of white cardstock, which gave me this. Okay, so I have this little love and hugs. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and cut, just get rid of this little piece. So I have this little piece that we could add on. We could do something like that. I did a second version, which I will show you. So here are my hearts. I have some of those there, and I did pre-cut some of them, so they're already cut out. I'll pop them over here. And instead of sticking with the same card color, I thought we could do something different. Okay, so once again, what we're going to do is I'm going to slide this one over. For this one, I have a base of pale papaya. I'm going to go ahead and fold that. And just reinforce this with my bone folder. And I went with a very similar tone on tone. So this again is kind of reminiscent of this piece here. So it's just a I believe this is 3.5 by 4, no, I'm sorry, by 5, 3.5 by 5 for this one. And then I went ahead and stamped this. So I wanted to show you what I did differently this time. And we are going to use some of these hearts, so we're going to cover it up. But essentially what I did is I masked off the balloons and I just stamped this. But this is nice and dry because I want to show you how you can color it, and then I'll show you the one that I did. So one other thing, I do still have my little scrap piece here of Bermuda Bay. So I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a few minutes as well. So I took to start my light pool party, and I just did, oops, wrong side. I did the visor, okay, and I did kind of inside the hubcaps because I wanted them to be shiny silver, and we don't really have anything that's necessarily silver, so I kind of just went with that for an idea. And a little bit on the headlamp as well. And then for the tires, again, I used the dark gray granite. So I just kind of gently, and I'm going to sit down for this. So again, I should have brought my glasses, but I didn't. I find that, I don't know if anybody else does this now, but I find that I am trying to zoom things in that are not in real life. I've gotten entirely too accustomed to using my zoom on my iPhone, which is, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but anyway. And then I also have the light and dark melon mambo. So typically I start with the dark. So I'm going to add a little bit of the dark kind of along the edge here and the top. And I added a little bit of that kind of on the sideline of the car. And then I'm going to go back in. I am going to also use the smaller tip for this just because it's a little bit more detailed. Kind of blended the top. Plus you can get around these little pieces here. And this actually is an idea that you will find once you look into your catalog, and you'll say, oh my gosh, that idea was staring at me right there the entire time. This is an idea inside the Celebration catalog, but I kind of just changed it up a little bit. They used different paper. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure what. They probably used an in-color paper, and I just was kind of fooling around with some of the pieces that I had handy. Okay, so that was a pretty simple coloring to the car. Okay, the only other thing I did, again, is I took the brush tip and I just added, so it kind of looks like a car and it's cute and everything, but it's just sitting there. So I thought if we added a little bit of shading underneath, not really being very specific with this, it'll kind of give a little bit of grounding to the vehicle. All right, so we have that there. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of darker Pool Party, just this teeny bit of shading. Okay, so then the other thing is, so say we didn't want to make this as a birthday card. We wanted it to be just a little bit something different. Okay, so we have our background here. We have this. We're going to take this piece first, and we're going to just kind of rub it both directions with our bone folder. And it kind of reminds you of if you were curling ribbon. So maybe you did this for your gifts. I don't know if anyone else out there aside from me curls ribbon, but we always put ribbon on our gifts. I know some people may not do that any longer, but I am an old person. I've always been an old person trapped in this body. So I do all those things that everybody did for all the years. So then eventually you'll notice, and I'm not sure if this does or doesn't show up on the video, but you'll see the edge splits. Now I want to kind of give you just a couple pieces of warning. If it starts to pull where you're getting a piece that won't come apart, so like right here, it won't. What you want to do is just stop right where you are and go back to working it, because it will separate and you don't want to end up with a hole in it. I mean, granted, we all have scraps of paper that we can use, but it's going to pull a little bit more, and I'm going to try from this side as well. Just like that. Okay. And then you have two pieces, and this kind of looks like suede. Granted, it's just the inside of the layers of paper, but it's pretty cool. Gives a little bit something extra. It's going to break up parts of this, and then we're going to do the love and hugs will be our Valentine sentiment. Now, since I kind of have that piece a little bit roughed up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two different things. So first, I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm just going to kind of rough around the edges of my paper. I've always liked doing this. I can remember doing this when we first started making cards. I think it was like really cool, I guess, at that time to have the torn paper. And you know, you can do it as much or as little as you like, but I just thought it gave a little bit of something extra to it. And then just to kind of bring in that Bermuda, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Bermuda marker. I'm going to take the brush tip and just very gently, I'm just going to go right around the edge there. Now, as I was saying, you could do this from the beginning prior to doing it with your bone folder, but it kind of gives you a little bit more depth when you do this because it doesn't get every single piece. There's only like parts of it have the ink and parts of it don't. So I kind of like it that way. So I guess just personal preference. I am going to put this up on dimensionals. Okay. Now, one other thing that I did ahead of time, and this is something that is up to you, but I also did a car and I fussy cut it. And the reason being is I stamped it and I had a huge smudge here and I thought the car turned out really cute. So if you wanted to, you could also put this so the car is popped up. So I'm actually going to do that. And let me see if I can find, I think I have some mini white dimensionals. Nope, just mini black. So dark dimensional is going to be what we're going with today. I'm going to grab my old paper piercer, I should say here. And I'm going to just pull a couple of these off. Oops. No worries. Okay. All right, just like that. Pull these off. Now, if there is any concern that you feel like you're not going to line this up perfectly, what you can do is take a little teeny bit, and I mean just a teeny bit of liquid glue. And what it does is it gives you just a little bit of mobility. So again, I'm going to sit for this part. So you can line it up. And the cool part is, since we actually did stamp that behind there, it kind of gives you like a 3D effect when you look at it sideways, which is also, oops, pretty cool. But you do want to make sure that you give it a moment to set because you don't want to have pressed it and then it goes haywire. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 dimensionals. And I'm pretty sure, I should actually check these. So I colored these hearts in with the Stampin' blends. Yep, they do fit nicely. So the little mini dimensionals will fit back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick this up and just set it. So you could make this as a Valentine's card, which would be really cute. I'm going to put another one here and see if I can fit that one on. You could make it as just like a cute, you know, lovable kind of card for your kids, card for your spouse, lots of fun stuff. And I'm going to take this last heart. Just pop this right up there. And this one didn't line up exactly right, but there's a little dot there. You won't know if it is the outline of the ink or if it's the dimensional in the back. So I'm not going to worry about it, but there we have our little hearts, which turned out super adorable. So all we're going to do now is just assemble this. And I wanted to show you one other thing. I did do one other one, and this is the one I was telling you about that said high, just a little high for me. So say if you wanted to do this, but you didn't want it to make it into a Valentine's card, this is the one that's in the Celebration stamp set. It's got a lot of different fonts, but just a little high for me. I think the one that was really cute is, where was it? You're holding it. Come on, where is it? I have something for you. You're holding it. I thought that was hilarious, but you know me and my sense of humor. So I'm going to go ahead and put some liquid glue onto the back of this DSP. Again, this was the in color DSP. This will be retiring soon because, I say soon, relatively speaking, it feels like it always goes super fast. But we will be getting some new colors starting with our next catalog. And this is crooked. Let me, once I've put that down on there, I'll just fix this just a little bit. Just goof this up just a smidge. There we go. But we will be getting new in colors, which means that our in colors, Just Jade, Magenta, Misty, Bumblebee, and Cinnamon Cider actually are going to be retiring. So that will happen before you know it. It feels like, you know, you're here and it's New Year's, and then the next thing you know, I don't know if it's just me, but it's like spring and summer. I'm really still boggled as to where the time goes. So I'm going to just put down again a little bit of the Stampin' Seal Plus. Oops. And there's a dog hair. Well, it didn't take too long for the dog hair to whittle their way into my cards. If you have checked my Facebook page, I did post a picture recently with the Rainbow Stamper and Jack. They were outside. We had a kind of after Christmas snow. It was just a little bit of flurries, but they both made the most of it. Jack is humongous already. He weighs 80 pounds, still growing, so I'm sure that's going to be quite interesting to see how large he gets. So if you, again, don't like this, you could always have this little piece here sneaking out. So I'm going to flip this under. You could always rip this to trim it a little bit, but I kind of think also it nicely breaks up the papaya. But I really do like the papaya, and specifically the papaya and the Bermuda Bay together look really pretty. So again, I have this one with the Love and Hugs, and I'm going to put this up on dimensionals as well. And I'm just going to use a couple mini dimensionals since I'm pretty much almost out of them. And, oops, come on, 3 is enough. That's plenty. And then you could add any kind of a sentiment, again, just really depending on what you wanted to do with this as well. So I'm going to put some glue on here. I'm not going to pop this up. I'm just going to pop up the other part. But since we do have some different textures here, I'm going to make sure that I get it all glued in. And again, I want that part to be straight. But I thought adding just those little cutout hearts, and they really weren't too difficult, especially, I did cut out tiny ones as well, so we could always add some extra ones on there, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. I'm going to put this here. Have our lug and hugs. Geez, I can't even speak. So the other thing you could do if you wanted to is you could take your little mini glue dots, and what I kind of do is I kind of wad them up. So we'll put one, see if we can get it to stay there. Oh, come on. One there, and then I'll take one of the tinier hearts and just give that a press. Same with this one. It's kind of like they're flying out of the back. Oops. And I'll put one more, just a little bit higher. So one last mini glue dot. Could pretty much, I think, do this for almost any season. But the one thing I will tell you is I absolutely love, I actually used to have a 74 convertible super Beetle So there is a little Volkswagen Bug in this stamp set and a bus. I never had a bus. I always thought it was really cool. A guy that I was friends with in high school had a VW bus, which I always thought made him that much cooler. But there's a really cute card. And again, if you wanted to change your sentiment, but I think this Love and Hugs is really adorable as well. Kind of goes really well with the, even with the Volkswagen theme. So let me just move this out of the way and I will show you one more time this adorable little stamp set. Again, you can get this for free. So there's the bus and the bug. I have another really cute idea. And the other thing that I wanted to show you, and this is something that you can do if you want to. So a lot of people do cut their stamps, but this one is so close between the presence and the roof of the bug that I would be a little bit wary. So what you could do if you wanted to, and I'm going to just show you this because I did something with this earlier and I didn't actually show it to you. So I'll go back. I have a piece of washi and I actually used it before and it was wet. I just wiped the ink off of it. But what I do is I usually will just line this up to the bottom of whatever it is I'm trying to cover. And then I'll kind of just make sure it follows inside the seam of whatever it is I'm covering. Okay, so for example, my Aunt Deb, she used to drive us to school. She had a yellow Volkswagen Bug. As a matter of fact, my cousin and my brother and I were just talking about this the other day. So if you were to do something like that, I have a little scrap piece of white here. So what we're going to do is let's do something. It was kind of like it was a weird yellow. It wasn't, I don't say it wasn't pretty, but it was definitely a crazy color yellow. But let's bring this in. So this is Bumblebee. And then one other thing I'm going to do just to make it a little bit simpler is I'm going to take my black Stampin' Right marker and I'm going to just go over the wheels. Okay, one, feel like I got them all. And then same for this one. We can always color this part in, so it's not like it's too big of a deal. Okay, so I did a little bit of black. Now, make sure you take off your washi. Okay, so this piece I am going to set on the side, but I will use it over again. And then I'm going to huff. So like Darth Vader. Stamp this. And hopefully it's going to work. Okay, so my wheels did turn a little bit strangely colored, but no big deal because what I'll end up doing is coloring them in. Now, you could do this one of two ways. You could definitely do it with your marker direct, or you could even use a blender pen. So you could just kind of dip off of your marker. And if you're kind of like, I don't really want to dip off my marker, and I'm just going to do the inside black. Okay, and same with this. Now, you may have noticed when I colored that in, sometimes you can get a little bit of ink transfer, and that's okay. It's not a huge problem. It's not something that you really, truly have to worry about. I'm gonna, actually, you know what? That wasn't even black. No wonder it didn't go as dark. It was basic gray. Whoops. So the other thing you could do with your blender pen instead is you could actually dip into your ink pool. So I'm going to make this, and now I understand why it didn't go quite as dark as I expected it to, because it was basic gray, Rachel, not black. Put that, and I'll do the same for this wheel here. But then you can see you got the bug without having the presents on top. And you could add something different if you wanted to. I'm just going to shade those in just a little bit because I kind of went over the line just a smidge. And then I want to just rub this just on a little bit of something, just so it's not too. And then same thing again, kind of make yourself a little bit of shading. So you have a little bit of shadow underneath of your car there. Okay, and then you could even, just if you get this kind of light, you could even do your little bumpers. Lord knows we don't have bumpers on cars anymore, right? Those old chrome bumpers. I'm sure I'm dating myself talking about that. But so you could do something like that. And then if you wanted to, you could do one of two things. You could either take your Bumblebee, you could take something a little bit lighter, maybe if you wanted to use Pale Papaya just to have kind of like those faded out colors of the car, because, you know, back then it seemed like the paint faded much more. You could do it with your blends, just like that. If you wanted to do it with blends, you definitely want to make sure that you use an ink that's okay to use with the blend. So the Memento is a good one. And I'm just going to blend these colors together. I'm going to add just a teeny bit of, because I don't want to color it too much, because then we're going to kind of lose the lines of, oops, wrong cap. We're going to lose the lines of color that I stamped it in. Okay. All right, and last but not least, I think one of the biggest things that we sometimes forget to do when we do these is we don't do the windows. So I'm going to just do the windows just a little bit. I have a little bit of color here, just a teeny bit. I'm going to make sure my brush is clean. And so I have those, and then I'm going to take and just lightly, so I have a little bit of dark. That's kind of a nice way to be able to do as if you were doing a blending, or not a blending pen, a Stampin' blend, but without actually using it. So what I did was I inked with my ink color first, and then I went back and picked up some color with the blender pen. So I have different shades of the same hue. Okay, so there you go. And you could always go in. Another thing you could do, and this is one thing I forgot to show you. I'm going to go back and show you this here. Is I did also on this card here, you'll notice I took a white gel pen and I just gave a couple little bit of like sun highlights for this, of maybe where if you were driving and the sun was, you know, your car is super clean and shiny. But you could do the same thing. So you could just do a little bit of highlighting on your bug and a little bit of white highlighting. And the other thing you could do, and I don't have my, I can't get to my black pen because I'm afraid I will knock something over, but I do have a Pilot envelope addressing pen. So if you want to add like a little bit of extra black to your tire, you could do this with your Stampin', your black marker. And you could always add some little extra touches of color to that, just to kind of bring your car to life, bring your vehicle to life. It makes it a little bit more exciting. So I hope you guys have learned something from this today. It was a lot of fun to make all of these cards. I do love making cards. I really have missed making cards, so I'm glad I was able to at least do a little bit of something with you all today. I do have some other ones that I have plenty of ideas. I just have to have time to film, so it's unfortunately much easier right now for me to do these as filmed videos. So you probably will see me posting some not live film videos here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to get any of these, you can. And remember, you can earn this really cute stamp set for free with a $50 purchase. Celebration runs through February 28th of 2022. It does not start until January 4th, but everybody's really excited because, you know, kind of after Christmas and you start cleaning everything up, and it kind of makes you excited to do something like this. So it's not necessarily like a Valentine card, but something along that, like a spring happy birthday card, which I'm sure lovely people would love to receive from you, all of your friends and family. So thank you guys so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you haven't already, if you hit the little button up there, subscribe and turn on the bell. Every time I make a new video, you'll get a notification. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.